I'm a big believer in there's enough deals in every market, and where you can go feel it, touch it, drive to it within less than an hour is where you start first.
If you're investing, investors will.
The podcast for all things real estate investing.
So welcome back to another episode of Investor One-on-One. Today's guest's been in the real estate and mortgage world for over 20 years, and he's done about everything you can think of. He's currently the division president at Responsive Mortgage, where he leads a team focused on making the home loan process simple, fast, and stress-free for buyers. Along the way, he's flipped over 250 homes and converted a 120-unit apartment complex into condos. And in 2017, sold his real estate development company to a family office. These days, he's built 25 single-family homes in Port St. Joe, Florida, some to sell, some to keep as rentals. He grew up in his family's printing business in South Boston, Virginia, and earned a full tennis scholarship to Coastal Carolina University. And today, he lives in Siesta Key with his wife and daughter. So let's please welcome him to the show, Mike Benton.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us
Sound
today,
old.
man. Thank you, thank you. Looking forward to hearing your story today. You've been in the real estate and mortgage lending for over 20 years. How did you first get started? And what was the first deal that pulled you in and saying, okay, this is the business I want to be in?
Yeah, man, it was no coincidence. It was Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book. I read it in I think it was 2002 or three, and then I said, "Hey, I want to." I actually was working for a software company in Plantation, Florida. So TradeStation Securities is still around. Became their like number one sales guy, but I started reading about real estate investments with Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, "Man, I got to get into the game." And we ended up moving back to close to home, my wife's home in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in 2004, and became a real estate agent, and the rest is history.
For sure. So you flipped over 250 homes, and as I said, converted a 120-unit apartment building into condos. How do you find your deals? And when you do, how do you decide whether a project is worth flipping, holding, or repositioning?
Yeah, I started working for a developer in 2005, and basically I was in their sales department selling pre-construction condos. They were converting hotels in Myrtle Beach to condos, and as you mentioned, I played tennis at Coastal Carolina, so I knew that area, which is right outside of Myrtle Beach. And at that time, I looked at an apartment complex that I'd known about, approached the seller. He was interested in selling it and put the deal. It was a 4.5 buy at the time in 2000, mid 2005. It was like a 12.5 exit. So I took it, I converted, I created the master deed, I did the renovations, sold it out in less than, I think it was like 16 months, converted that to condos. So answering your question of like, how do I determine it? I mean, I'm not a full-time real estate investor anymore. But I mean, typically when we were buying foreclosures in Broward and Palm Beach County at auctions and through real estate agents, wholesalers. I mean, we had a whole system at scale. It was probably over 250 homes that I've done because our biggest year was over 100, and I think it was 2015 in Broward and Palm Beach County. I stayed out of your county and Dade. Um, typically we were looking we were analyzing things either on a just a cash on cash return or the complexity of project. We didn't have a necessary buy box, but we were primarily just fix and flip. I mean, and at scale, we had three asset managers, got over 100 people in our construction, like 1099 type contractors. I mean, we built out a software to acquire, renovate, and resell assets. And that's what allowed us to exit the company in 2000, it's kind of late 17, early 18.
Amazing, man. So that's what you did back then. Can you tell us more about what you do today?
Yeah, so I run a company called Responsive Mortgage. I'm partners with John Cheplack, who's one of the biggest names in real estate coaching. He coached some of the top team leaders all around the country, as well as my longtime friend, 20 plus years, Preston Guyton, who has a similar trajectory as myself, but has really been in the online lead generation space since the early 2000s and pay-per-click and SEO. He had developed a website over the past 6 years called Easy Home Search. It's in the top six real estate portals in the country behind, Realtor.com, Zillow, Homes.com, and Movado and Rocket Homes. And then it's Easy Home Search. So I think he's number six in total traffic as of today. And 2 years ago, we started having the conversation about how do we add revenue to big real estate teams around the country. and the number one source is mortgage. So what we do is we partner with big team leaders, and we teach them how to run a mortgage office outside of the real estate team to add revenue, decrease lead cost, et cetera. Because if you look at what's happened in the industry over the past, say, 12 to 24 months, Zillow Home Loans is a big competitor coming in to take more market share. Rocket Homes or Rocket just bought Redfin, which is a huge online portal. Lower bought Movado. So if you don't have a fully integrated, ancillary services to help either reduce costs or increase revenue, then these team leaders are missing out. And in the past 13 months, we've partnered with 18 different teams. We have another 4 to 8 teams coming on board. We've gone from 0 to 10 plus million in revenue in less than 12 months.
Wow. Amazing, man. So, you were an investor and now you're the division president at Responsive Mortgage, and you've been in the industry for a while. What's the biggest financing mistake you see investors are making, and how can they avoid it?
Great question. I mean, I think it's over leverage. Number one. Number two, it's construction. I mean, when I look at fix and flip and buy and hold, I look at three things. You got the buy side, you got the construction side, and then the financing side. I see probably the biggest mistakes on the construction side. I think most investors are pretty good at buying, but I would say newer investors have a hard time really estimating what the true cost of construction is, especially with existing properties. I invest in more new construction today than fix and flip because of just understanding the predictability of a new build versus the unpredictability of a fix and flip. So I think it's the construction side is the most challenging piece.
For sure. And with lending tightening and rates fluctuating, what do you think investors should know about structuring deals or loans creatively in today's market?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I mean, to me, I think lending is opening up more than it has in the past 3 years. Over the last 6 months, I mean, there's just so many ways to finance deals right now for real estate investors. I mean, everything from a 40-year interest only type loan with just using the cash flow to finance the properties. Fix and flip up to, I mean, man, I've seen up to 100% financing, which is insane. I mean, listen, for the investors, it's great. Less out of capital, less out of pocket. There's more deals available, and they can, basically take on more if they can handle it on the construction side. But I think that, I mean, there's just so many different options. I think like anything, you have to build the right team. And lending, as I mentioned, those three pillars. If you don't have the right lending team, it can really, set you up for failure. Or, I think that's where we differentiate ourselves is, you have a lot of previous investors or existing investors, and that's how I got into lending. I mean, I was borrowing so much money as a fix and flipper. I mean, I got to understand this lending game a little bit better. And being a numbers person, it just made a lot of financial sense, and the scalability of mortgage is just, pretty phenomenal.
You spoke a little bit about having the right team in order to grow. What's your secret besides that to scaling to 20 million?
I mean, the secret is relationships, man. I mean, getting in the right rooms, right? Like how I met Jason at Boardroom. I think too many people look at the price tag to enter some rooms and don't look at the ROI, right? It's your network is your net worth. We've all heard it. But I would say that building, like having really proven people to be in your corner that have nothing to gain from just giving you information. I find the higher you go, the more people are willing to give it away. Meaning if you can find the people that have been there, done that, and network with those folks and just ask the questions. I mean, people that are really successful are happy to mentor younger folks or people with less experience because they don't want them to make the same mistakes. You can learn, I would say you can learn by experience or you can learn by wisdom. And experience is really expensive. And wisdom is, you learn by wisdom, people that have been there, done that, it's a lot less, your price tag's less. So it shortens the time frame, and it condenses your track record, right? Like in other words, you're not having to make the same mistakes we've made over the past 20 years.
For sure. Some really wise words, man. For the people that are hearing this right now and they love your energy and they're really interested in what you're doing, can you share with us a case study from a successful investor that has worked with you guys?
Yeah. So we have an investor right now. His goal is to accumulate 100 properties in the Ohio area in the next, I'd say, 24 months. Right now, he's averaging basically it's one per week. So we've been working with him over the past 2 years. He has a portfolio coincidentally here in Siesta Key, over $10 million portfolio. As he slowly exits Siesta Key, the short-term rental market, he's positioning new assets in Ohio for long-term accumulation of a larger portfolio. So basically what we do with him is we'll fund, he's looking for anywhere from, single family up to 12 units. And he'll go in and he'll practice either the Burr method or he'll go in and do some light rehab. And then we will do things like no seasoning cash out refi. So if he steals a property at, let's say, 80 grand and it's worth one and a quarter, he'll buy that property with cash and we'll get all of his cash back within, 30, 45 days.
That's amazing results, man. I love that. You work with so many different investors, and we have investors that are investing nationwide. But if our investors are looking to invest in different places, what do you look for when scouting overlooked or emerging areas to invest in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going back to the network. I mean, me personally, I mean, I think you need to be experienced if you're buying out of your MSA. So I find that a lot of people are looking in markets because of a trend or whatnot. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Acres of Diamonds. It's an old book. It's really, really thin. I would recommend it for anybody because it's a parable about a gentleman who was looking for gold and diamonds, right? And he looked everywhere but in his backyard. So I'm a big believer in there's enough deals in every market and where you can go feel it, touch it, drive to it within less than an hour is where you start first. And until you've basically dug up all the diamonds in your own backyard, don't start looking in other areas.
I like that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And something I like asking investors, successful investors, if you were to start over today
Yeah, man.
with just $100,000, but your brain and your experience, how would you start?
Uh, well, I mean, me personally, with my brain and my experience, I would go right back to I found the best deals through real estate agent relationships. So the same way I built our investment business in Broward and Palm Beach County with building one-on-one relationships with realtors is exactly how I built my mortgage business. Since being in the real estate industry for 20 plus years, I understand, at a high level how real estate agents think. I think that most want to become investors. So a good way to build relationships with them is teach them everything you know, and then understand the psychology behind, how they're thinking. They see a lot of properties before investors do because of maybe their database, maybe um, they have a lot of cash offer type programs, not dissimilar to wholesalers and fix and flippers. But for me, understanding that avatar so well, I just go one-on-one with these agents and deal with them straight up. Meaning, how we built it was we'd say, hey, listen, if you have a house that either needs to be fixed and flipped or is a good rental opportunity for us, call us first. We'll be there within X number of hours, same day as what we would say. We'll give you an offer on the spot and we will not renegotiate. And we never renegotiated. So we get consistent callbacks. So we give them cash offer. We would close within 3 to 5 days once title was back. No contingencies, no inspections. And that's how I build it today.
Let's go into, more of a mindset question. You've been in this industry for more than 20 years. You've been in real estate and mortgage banking. How's your approach to risk evolved, and how do you know when to push versus to just like pause?
Man, good question. Man, I'm a dice roller. I had over $50 million in properties when the 2008 Great Recession hit. And I got down to about before I never claimed bankruptcy, which hindsight being 2020, I would have. There was a lot of developers with much more that were able to get bailed out. I didn't get bailed out. So, I mean, that's the experience piece. And those are, many, many Harvard educations paid. But from that standpoint, like I'm a dice, I like to roll the dice. I think the more you roll the dice, the bigger the wins. But so I guess like answering your question, I mean, it's risk is a personal type of decision. And I think it's understanding what your short-term and long-term goals are. For me, I feel like I'm very confident in my ability to execute. So therefore, I'm willing to take maybe bigger risks than folks that are either A, don't have the experience or B, just don't want to lose. Not that we lose very often, but I think, as you gain more and more experience, you're more and more confident with the decisions that you make. So that is something usually that has to be built over time. So I think the more experience someone gets, the more risks they can take. But then you kind of mitigate the risk knowing, how it's worked out in the past. Long explanation probably to your question.
Oh,
Um,
I
you
couldn't
know,
agree more. Uh-huh.
so it's fun, man.
For sure, for sure. It's part of the game. What would you say out of, sometimes you take a risk and you do fail. What's one failure that you would go back and do it differently that you can tell our investors?
Yeah, another great question, man. This is fun. I'd say the biggest failure was uh, in 2006, '07, as I was doing quite a few deals. I was finishing up the project we talked about right when we jumped on the 112 unit condo conversion. Um, this is, decision making based out of fear versus faith. And because I kind of could feel the market, the pulse of, hey, things are maybe going to get worse. I said, hey, I need to get into some cash flowing assets as opposed to more development slash assets that are turn and burn. And made it, and that was the decision based on fear. And what I did is I put a contract in on a 152 unit apartment complex in Birmingham, Alabama. The deal made sense. The issue is, and I say this frequently, I'd rather be in the wrong deal with the right people than the right deal with the wrong people. Um, the people you partner with and do business with is more important than anything. Their integrity, how they do business. In this particular project, I knew going in that, I'd met this guy, and long story short, I found out some things I was already under contract when I found these like things out that he was unscrupulous. And because I was 100 grand in earnest money and over 100K in attorney fees, because this was a HAP contract, meaning guaranteed by Section 8, very complicated negotiations on this particular building. Um, and it's also listening to your spouse and listening to your gut. So the market, I had a choice in 2007 to lose 200,000 or wire another 500,000, close it and go all in. I didn't listen to my wife. My wife was like, I don't think you should do this. We should do this. I would prefer just to lose the money and move on. And I was making decisions in fear versus faith. And so went into that deal, wired the money, closed on the property, and ended up being just a complete nightmare. I ended up doing a deed in lieu of foreclosure about a year and a half later. Found out that the seller and the buyer had colluded. But at that time, the market was crashing. We had other properties throughout South Carolina that were either in foreclosure or some sort of distress status based on partnerships, the market going absolutely to zero. So I couldn't fight it in court. I didn't have the capital or the mental bandwidth. So I say all that to say, like, the most important thing is who you do business with as opposed to the deal itself. Like your contractors, your real estate agents, your lending team, your title and or attorneys. Like I would spend most of my time in the beginning making sure those partnerships were super tight, as opposed to the deal itself.
Wow, what a story, man. Some people, if they experience that, they're like, okay, real estate is not for me. What's next? But I'm happy to see that for you. It led you to good places and, you learned something from everything. So I appreciate that story. And, Mike, you're an amazing entrepreneur.
Oh,
You've done
thanks.
so much in your career. After 20 years in the business, how do you stay sharp, stay driven, and keep evolving while mentoring others and continue building your portfolio? Can you kind of give us a scoop of your routine or your mindset?
Oh, 100%, man. The number one thing that changed everything for me was getting alcohol out of my life. Once like I always knew like there would be one thing that would change everything for me personally. And I knew it was alcohol. So for me, once I got alcohol out of my life a few years ago, that's when my career just took off. Even in a tough mortgage market, I mean, I've grown more than ever over the past 18 to 24 months since getting that out of my life. Number one, it's made me a better husband, a better father, a better leader for my current team. So that's number one. Number two, part of my journey there is my my mentor, my mentor now, who's John Cheplack, who's also my partner. So he's my coach, my mentor, my partner in business. He faced similar demons 14 years ago. He laughs on stage and talks about I think he had a VIP card to every rehab facility in Las Vegas. Um, and then his son as well. So his son, 9 years sober off of both alcohol and heroin. They really, had already walked down a similar path. So it was easy for them to mentor me and really improve my exercise and, standards. And I've always been pretty disciplined, but that one thing, getting it out of my life was the one thing that changed everything for me in the best shape of my life. And if you're clear mentally and you have a very consistent fitness regiment, and then getting into the word every morning, if at all possible. What you fill your mind with is what you become. We've all heard it. For but it's true. You have to have standards, and if you hold those standards of discipline and purpose, then your life will follow your standards.
Those are some inspiring words, man. Thanks for sharing that. And to kind of conclude this, what's next for you on a personal level and on a business level?
Yeah, so personally, I'm really enjoying what I do right now. I mean, the last year has been the most exciting. I've never worked harder over the past 12 months than I've worked in my career. My days averaged anywhere from 12 to say 16 hours per day that I'm either here at my Sarasota office, traveling around the country to build relationships with team leaders, investors, and to grow our mortgage bank. That's number one. Number two, next for me is there's not an end goal for our mortgage company. I mean, what we want to do is continue to impact the people that we touch both personally and professionally, whether it's, our current team, helping them maybe meet financial goals, personal fitness goals. We are always trying to make the people's lives that we touch better. And sometimes it's personally, sometimes it's professionally. But I say if you can touch and help someone personally, their professional life will automatically improve. And, we've had loan officers who've gotten sober. We've had, operational and support folks who have lost like 20, 40 pounds. We're huge on culture at Responsive. We meet daily with our entire team all across the country. We have almost 80 people as of today. We meet quarterly for, some different exercises that we do. We meet 3 times a year face to face. So culture is number one for me with our team. I'm continuing to build that and build deeper relationships with companies like yours, where we can collaborate and serve people at a higher level and give back to communities and just continue to do better.
Mike, thank you so much for sharing your story and wisdom with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on Investor One-on-One. If our listeners want to connect with you and learn more about you, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, Facebook, I do a lot. So Mike Benton on Facebook and at Mike G. Benton on Instagram, or responsivemortgage.com is our website. You can find out all the details. We can lend DSCR, fix and flip in every state. So we have a nationwide footprint. We truly care about our investor community and our real estate community, and we want to continue to be a lighthouse for folks looking to grow personally and professionally, man.
Amazing. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for tuning in. Stay connected for more interviews with the nation's top investors and business leaders. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for having me on, man.